What do you do when someone stops valuing you? Do you chase them harder, beg for their attention, or do you let them go? Marcus Aurelius warned us, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive. A privilege, not a punishment. If someone doesn't value you, the Stoic path is not to cling, but to return to yourself. Today I'll show you one Stoic trick that shifts the balance instantly and how stepping back can command the respect you thought you had lost. Part 1. The Trap of Chasing. Have you noticed how quickly dignity drains the minute you start chasing? A friend cancels again, a partner turns cold, a colleague leaves you on read. Instantly your mind leaps into rescue mode. If I just try harder, they'll see my worth. But the truth is quieter and sharper. The harder you chase, the faster they run. Marcus Aurelius gives us a blade to cut through that illusion. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Chasing is neither right nor true. It's fear disguised as love anxiety, pretending to be loyalty, and self-doubt dressed up as devotion. So let's name the trap precisely. Chasing is emotional bargaining. It'll give more attention, more effort, more access. You'll give me back a feeling I can generate within myself. But here's the hard truth: it never works for long. Because people don't respect what you won't respect in yourself. The Stoics knew this. They never confused kindness with self-erasure. They believed in right action measured just and rooted in inner steadiness. I learned this the hard way. I once poured endless energy into a friend who gave less each year. More texts, longer calls, strategic favors, diplomatic explanations. And the result, they drifted further away. My overfunctioning trained them to underfunction. The economy of the relationship collapsed. I inflated. They deflated. But the moment I stepped back, two things happened. They noticed my absence, and I noticed my strength. Space told the truth my words could not. Why does chasing fail? Because of what I call the 3 Ps. Perception. You teach them you're available without effort. Power. You transfer the power of your mood to their responses. Pattern. You reward distance with pursuit, so distance only grows. Marcus urges us to live by virtue, not by adrenaline. So pause and ask yourself, is this action wise, just courageous and temperate? Chasing fails all 4. It is foggy, unfair to yourself, driven by fear and excessive in measure. Here's a practice I call the 90-second reversal. Step 1, label it. This urge to chase is fear speaking. Step 2, breathe. 4 rounds of box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Step 3, pick a virtue for the next hour. Wisdom, see facts only. Justice, be fair to yourself. Courage, tolerate silence. Temperance, do less but better. And step 4, do one tiny deed that serves your long-term goal. Write 150 words. Tidy one surface. Complete a micro workout. Train your nervous system to link the urge not with panic and pursuit, but with calm and self-respect. For the next 7 days, measure progress by counting non-chases, not replies. Aim for 7 recorded moments where you felt the pull, but chose virtue and a tiny deed instead. Expect the anxiety spike to drop by 20 to 30% simply because your body learns a new outcome. Urge, calm, self-respect, not urge, chase silence. Here's a mantra to carry with you. Not my dignity to trade, not my peace to bargain. I return to myself. Respect isn't earned by chasing. It's restored when you step back into self-respect. When you withdraw the fuel of pursuit, you restore the gravity of your presence. So here's your action step comment, one sentence you'll use when the urge to chase hits. Pin it in your mind like armor, and then keep watching, because next I'll show you the Stoic trick that flips the dynamic without games. It's called the absence effect. Part 2, the Stoic trick. The absence effect. Here's the Stoic trick that feels almost like magic because it isn't manipulation, it's simply nature absence. When you stop pouring your energy into someone who doesn't value it, 2 outcomes unfold. And either way, you win. They recognize the value of your presence, or you recognize you never needed their validation in the first place. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, time is like a river, all that is swept away. So why keep pouring your river into a cup that won't hold water? Think of it this way, human attention obeys the law of scarcity. What is constant becomes background noise. What is measured, what is rare commands notice. Your nonstop availability breeds numbness. Your measured availability breeds respect. Absence, then, is not a game. It's a boundary expressed through time. So how do you step back without drama and without guilt? Start with a clear declaration to yourself. For 7 days, I will not initiate. I will invest in my own center. This isn't about punishment. It's about presence. Next, redirect your energy. Every time your thumb reaches for a text, swap it for a 3-minute anchor. Take 5 deep breaths, write a single page of notes, do 10 push-ups, or clear a surface in 90 seconds. Replace the urge with action that strengthens you. Then track the experiment. Create a simple 7-box tracker you can see daily. Fill 1 box for every day you do not initiate. Watch your streak grow. Now here's where the real insight comes. Observe reactions, but start with your own. Do you sleep easier? By day 3, is your inner chatter quieter by day 5? And if they reach out, can you answer calmly, without hunger, without heat? Follow the 3 rules of absence. Rule 1, no silent tantrums. Absence is not punishment, it's clarity. Rule 2, no scorekeeping. This isn't about winning the chase, it's about reclaiming your center. Rule 3, no sudden collapses. Don't flood them with attention on day 6 just because you got anxious. Let the full 7 days teach you. I'll give you a mini story. I once coached a client who admitted he initiated contact 29 days out of 30. He felt invisible, resentful, exhausted. We tried a 7-day absence with the anchor rule in place. Day 2 was rough, he nearly broke. But by day 4, he wrote calmer, lifted, wrote 600 words instead of obsessing. On day 6, she reached out, and this time he responded 4 hours later, neutral, kind, steady. Within 2 weeks, their dynamic reset. But more importantly, his center reset. Here's your on-screen drill, make it sticky. Title it, Absence Reveals Truth. 7-day goals, 7 non-initiations, 14 anchor reps, 1 end-of-week reflection. And the reflection prompts are simple. What did I reclaim? What surprised me? What will I keep? Close the loop with a sentence you can carry forward. I won't rush what must be chosen. I won't sell what must be earned. So here's your challenge. If you're ready to test the 7-day absence effect, drop this in the comments. Absence equals clarity. And stay with me, because absence without self-investment leaves only a vacuum. In part 3, you'll learn the 3 inputs Aurelius Stoic system for steadily rebuilding your gravity brick by brick. Part 3, reclaiming power. Through self-investment, Stoicism is not about numbness. It's about nervous system leadership. You can't control what someone else feels. You can't control what they give or withhold. But you can control who you become. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. And for the Stoics, ambition wasn't chasing applause. It was becoming a person whose standards were not for sale. That brings us to the 3 inputs Rulea weekly system for reclaiming your center. The idea is simple. Pick 3 controllables and track them visibly. Outcomes will always lag behind, but inputs lead. Input A, body. 4 workouts or 120 minutes total. Move in a way that strengthens you. Input B, mind. 5 sessions of 20 minutes, reading, writing, or focused learning. Feed your judgment. Input C, work. 10 high-quality reps, pitches, pages, outreach, or prototypes. Effort that compounds into skill. Why does this work? Because identity follows behavior. You don't wait to feel strong to train, you train, and the strength follows. Because mood obeys momentum. Every micro win you generate releases a microdose of dopamine that you control, not dopamine you beg for. And because respect compounds, others sense the gravity of someone who keeps promises to themselves. To make it stick under stress, lean on micro rituals. The 2-minute launch. When you feel the urge to check your phone, set a timer and do 2 minutes of your next input. Momentum beats mood. Frictionless staging. Lay out your shoes, your notebook, or tomorrow's first task the night before. Reduce activation energy. And finally, public commitment. Write your 3 inputs on a sticky note, put them in your notes. After bravest of all, comment them below this video. I'll give you a quick story. After a breakup, my mind clawed for contact. Every silence felt unbearable. Instead of texting into the void, I chose 3 inputs. Write 500 words a day, train 4 times a week, and read Marcus for 10 minutes each night. Day 1 was raw. Day 4 became routine. By day 12, my sleep steadied. By day 30, I had peace. Not because they returned, but because I did. The outside hadn't changed. The inside leader had. Of course, you'll need guardrails to stop yourself from drifting back. Rule 1, no doom scrolling before inputs A or B. Phone goes face down until you've earned the check mark. Rule 2, track percentage, not perfection. Aim for 80% completion. Forgive, misses protect streaks. And Rule 3, celebrate silently. Pride without broadcast anchors identity internally. To make this practical, here's a simple on-screen tracker. Weekly inputs, body, enum, mind, enum, work, enum, target 80%. At the end of the week, reflect with 3 questions: what worked? What wobbled? What will I adjust? Epictetus reminded us, no man is free who is not master of himself. Self-investment is how you master yourself, not by punishing your emotions, but by regulating your energy toward the life you actually respect. So close this section with one sentence: I build what I want to belong to. Now your move, post your 3 inputs for this week in the comments. Make your commitment visible to yourself and useful to others who are rebuilding too. And then keep watching, because in part 4, you'll learn the one boundary line that does the work of 1,000 desperate calls. Part 4, the boundary line. There comes a moment in every relationship, whether friendship, romance, or even family, where silence feels heavier than words. You've tried, you've given, you've bent. And yet what you receive in return is neglect, disregard, or worse, indifference. The Stoics remind us that dignity is not maintained by arguing endlessly, but by drawing a line calmly, clearly, firmly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Boundaries are the living proof of being one. Boundaries aren't ultimatums. They're not punishments. They're not emotional weapons meant to manipulate. They are the architecture of self-respect. Think of them like the walls of the inner citadel. Marcus described protecting the peace within, not by locking the world out, but by choosing what is allowed to enter. Without boundaries, we hand out free access passes to our energy, our time, our very soul. And then we wonder why we feel drained, used, or invisible. I learned this the hard way. I once had a friendship that had quietly turned one-sided. I was always the one initiating plans, always the one driving across town, always the one staying up late to listen to their problems. But when I needed support, silence. Canceled plans, excuses. At first, I tolerated it, telling myself that loyalty meant endurance. But the truth was sharper. What I called loyalty was actually fear. Fear of losing them, fear of conflict, fear of being alone. The turning point came when I finally wrote a single-sentence boundary: I value what we shared. In giving it space to be what it is now. No accusations, no pleading, just clarity. When I spoke it once, calmly, the silence afterward did all the work. The friendship didn't collapse. It simply found its natural shape. I stopped carrying the weight of both sides, and for the first time in years, I felt light. That's the lesson. Boundaries aren't about controlling others. They're about controlling yourself, your speech, your effort, your expectations. Epictetus captured it perfectly. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit. Boundaries are how you stop being complicit in your own mistreatment. When you say no clearly and kindly, you stop participating in the cycle of neglect. You reclaim agency. But why then do so many of us avoid boundaries? Fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being labeled selfish or cold. We imagine that if we stand firm, the people we love will leave. But Marcus flips the script. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. A relationship that collapses because you stood in truth was never real to begin with. So how do you practice boundaries the Stoic way? Here's a 4-step drill. Step 1. Write your non-negotiables. Spend 10 minutes today writing down the behaviors you will no longer tolerate. Chronic lateness, disrespect, manipulation, neglect. Be brutally honest. If you don't write them, you'll rationalize them. Step 2. Craft a single boundary sentence. Boundaries are strongest when simple. Example: I won't continue this dynamic. If respect returns, I'm open to reconnecting. Or I need conversations to be mutual. If they aren't, I'll step back. Keep it under 20 words. Clarity is strength. Step 3, speak it once calmly. Boundaries don't require repetition. Once is enough. If they push, remember Marcus. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Stay calm. Do not match their chaos. Step 4, let silence work. Most people don't break their boundaries because others resist. They break them because they can endure silence. The silence after you set a line feels unbearable at first, but endure it. Silence is where respect grows. Let's anchor this with modern data. Psychologists who study interpersonal dynamics have found that relationships with clear boundaries are 60% more likely to survive long-term than those with blurred roles. Why? Because clarity prevents resentment. A boundary stated up front prevents 100 hidden expectations later. Think about it. How many relationships fracture not from the big betrayals, but from the 1,000 small disappointments no one ever named unreturned calls? Unspoken needs? Lopsided effort? Without boundaries, those small cuts fester. With boundaries, you disinfect them before they become infection. Here's a practical exercise for this week. Choose one area of your life where resentment has quietly built up. Write your non-negotiables. Craft one boundary sentence. Speak it once. Then observe. Does the other person rise to meet your standard, or do they fade away? Either outcome is clarity, and remember, boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks only you hold. You choose who walks in, who stays, and who leaves. That choice is not cruelty. It's stewardship of your peace. I'll give you another story. A client of mine was in a relationship where every plan, every decision revolved around the other person's whims. Weekends canceled last minute. Calls ignored for days. He felt invisible, but terrified of speaking up. We worked through the Stoic drill. His boundary sentence was simple: I need mutual effort to continue. Without it, he'll step back. He delivered it once with calm clarity. The response, anger at first, then silence. But over time, the silence became honesty. That relationship ended. And though he grieved, he also realized he hadn't lost a partner. He had lost a weight that was never meant to be his alone. This is the paradox of boundaries. The moment you stop chasing, you stop losing yourself. The moment you set a line, you see who truly respects it. And respect, whether theirs or yours, becomes the soil where dignity grows. Let's close with a mantra you can carry: not my dignity to trade, not my peace to bargain. I return to myself. This week, set one boundary, just one. Say it once. Let silence do its work. Track how you feel on day 1, day 3, day 7. You'll notice something: your anxiety begins to drop, not because others changed, but because you did. Marcus's wisdom echoes here. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And being one means protecting your peace. So here's your on-screen reminder. Boundaries aren't walls. They are doors with locks only you hold. And your section call to action: comment one boundary sentence you'll practice this week. Keep it under 20 words. Share it as armor so others can learn from your clarity. And now the bridge: once you've set your boundary, you'll face the lingering question: what do I do with the pain that remains? That's where the Stoics hand us the next tool, zooming out to the bigger picture. Because when you learn to see heartbreak not as the whole book, but as one chapter, your perspective shifts, and so does your peace. Part 5, the bigger picture. When you're caught in heartbreak, rejection, or neglect, the tunnel feels endless. You can see beyond the darkness. Every thought circles around them: what they said, what they didn't say, why they pulled away, whether you could have done something differently. In those moments, one person's absence feels like the collapse of your entire world. But Marcus Aurelius offers us a profound reminder. Time is a river, a violent torrent. All that is swept away. Think about that for a moment. Every joy, every sorrow, every heartbreak, all of it is swept downstream. Nothing stands still. And in that truth lies freedom. Because if everything flows, then today's pain is not permanent. It is simply part of the current moving you towards something else. I remember years ago going through a breakup that left me shattered. Every morning I woke up with the same heaviness in my chest. I thought about her constantly: what I'd lost, what I might have done differently, how unfair it all felt. The tunnel seemed endless. But one evening I opened Meditations and read, "Does the man who fears change not know that it is through change that all things come to be?" It hit me like lightning. Change wasn't my enemy. Change was the very reason I had once found love and the reason I would one day find peace again. That night I did a drill I still use today. I wrote at the top of a page, "Will this matter in 5 years?" Underneath, I answered honestly, "No. It will shape me, but it will not define me." I still felt the ache, but I also felt perspective. And perspective was enough to take one step forward. This is the Stoic lens on perspective. When we zoom out, we see what's temporary. The Stoics practiced this constantly. They reminded themselves that empires crumble, kings die, monuments turn to dust. Marcus himself, emperor of Rome, wrote daily reminders that he too was mortal and that one day his name would be forgotten. If the most powerful man in the world could accept his own smallness in time, why can't we? The person who ignores you today will one day be only a memory. The rejection that burns now will fade into a story you tell about how you grew stronger. As Marcus put it, all is ephemeral, both memory and the object of memory. So how do we practice this zooming out and start with the 5-year test? Each evening, recall the day's sharpest pain. Write it down in a single sentence. Example, "She didn't reply to my message." Then ask, "Will this matter in 5 years?" If the answer is no, release it. If yes, ask instead, "How will this refine me?" Most people find that 80 to 90% of daily upsets dissolve under the 5-year test. The mind exaggerates the present, perspective restores proportion. Another tool is the role audit. Heartbreak shrinks our identity until we feel like we are only one thing, the rejected one, the abandoned one, the overlooked one. But life is bigger than any single role. You are a child, a sibling, a friend, a worker, a creator, a learner. Once a week, list 5 roles you inhabit. Under each, write one action that would make you proud this week. Example, as a worker, finish the project draft. As a friend, call someone who supports you. As a son or daughter, visit or message your parents. As a citizen, volunteer an hour. As an individual, train your body or read 10 pages. When you invest across roles, no single relationship can consume your identity. You diversify your worth like a Stoic portfolio of virtues. I learned this after another painful ending of friendship this time. I realized I had poured 70% of my energy into one role, the loyal friend. When that role collapsed, I felt empty. But when I rebalanced into other roles, life expanded again. I wasn't just a friend. I was a writer, a brother, a mentor, a learner. Suddenly, my days regained variety and meaning. That's what zooming out does. It reminds you that your life is bigger than any one chapter. And here's another shortcut: service. Service punctures the tunnel vision of heartbreak. Marcus wrote, "Men exist for the sake of one another. Teach them then or bear with them." Each time you feel consumed by neglect, do one act of service that day. Send an encouraging text. Hold the door. Share a meal. Volunteer. Notice how the weight inside you lightens when you step outside yourself. In my own darkest days, volunteering at a shelter each week didn't erase the ache, but it restored my scale. My heartbreak shrank. My usefulness grew, and that was enough to keep moving. Now let's layer in reflection. Marcus wrote his Meditations at Night short entries just for himself. You can do the same. Each evening, ask yourself 3 questions. What virtue did I live today? Where did I miss it? What one correction will I try tomorrow? This simple practice zooms out from the chaos of one day to the long arc of your life. It reminds you that today's pain is part of tomorrow's progress. Modern cognitive behavioral studies show that people who reflect this way reduce rumination by nearly 40% in a single month. And when emotions surge, when you feel yourself drowning in their absence, it's this one-sentence mantra: not my story to control, my mind to govern, my virtue to practice. Their actions are not yours to control. Your mind is. And your virtues are always available, today, tonight, tomorrow. You'll share one last story. A friend once told me, "When my marriage ended, I thought I was ruined. But then I realized, this is one of 30,000 days I might live. Do I want to surrender them all to this?" That question broke the spell. She zoomed out. Today she is remarried, fulfilled and grateful. That heartbreak, once her whole identity, is now a single thread in a much larger tapestry. So here's your practical exercise for today. Do the 5-year test. Write down your current pain. Then write how it might look 5 years from now. Do a role audit. List 5 roles you hold this week and commit one action for each. And do one act of service today, something small but done. These 3 drills combined will stretch your perspective until your current tunnel looks less like an ending and more like a bend in the river. And remember the mantra, not my story to control, my mind to govern, my virtue to practice. Repeat it when the urge to spiral comes. Repeat it when the silence feels unbearable. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Looking back now, years after my own heartbreaks, I don't see them as failures. I see them as teachers. They refined me. They sharpened my perspective. They reminded me that no one owns my peace but me. That's the gift of Stoicism, not to make you indifferent, but to make you free. So when someone stops valuing, you zoom out. 5 years from now, you'll see this not as the end of your story, but as the start of your strength. On screen, let this reminder stay with you. Detach with dignity. Love without clinging. Walk with steadiness. If this message gave you perspective, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to this channel, Making Life Better, because here we're building a community rooted in Stoic wisdom and timeless strength. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And comment below with one virtue you'll practice tonight: wisdom, justice, courage, or temperance. Remember, they don't own your heart, you do. And when you govern your mind, the world cannot shake you.